Today we're talking about how to be happy. Let's get into it. So I recently finished Mark Manson's book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. So I wanted to go over one of the ideas that really stuck out to me in the book. But before I do that, I think the entire book's absolutely amazing. Mark's such a funny writer, and he has a way of adding humor to his words when he's talking about very profound or sometimes deeply personal ideas. So if you haven't read the book already, I highly recommend it. I'll leave a link in the description down below to where you could purchase it. But then again, you could always just steal it from a library or something. Please don't do that. The first thing Mark does in the book is completely destroy this idea that happiness is this stagnant thing. You know, you're either happy or you're not. He argues that happiness is not a lack of struggle, but rather it's the feeling you get when you're able to overcome your struggles. Because everyone has struggles. Billionaires have struggles, but the difference comes is when you're able to find struggles that you're willing to put up with, and that will leave you fulfilled. If you're working a dead-end job, that'll leave you a lot less fulfilled than if you're working your dream job. In both scenarios, there's hardships involved, but the dream job will leave you a lot more fulfilled because you enjoy that process a lot more, so you'll be more willing to put up with the bullshit that comes along with it. In the book, Mark gives the example of Hirro Onoda, who was a Japanese soldier back in World War II. Hiroo was sent to Lupang Island in the Philippines back in December 26, 1944, and was ordered to just mess with the enemy there. No, he would ring the doorbell and run away. Just kidding, he would burn their crops and then kill them. A lot darker. Anyways, after some time, the only people left on the island from the Japanese army was Onoda and then 3 other soldiers. And also, World War II ended in 1945, but no one came to get them because nobody knew what the fuck they were. You see, Lupang Island is for forestry, and in order to hide from the enemy, Hiroo and his fellow soldiers would go into the forest and just hide there. So they had no idea that the war was over. So since the Filipino government and the Japanese government are fucking blind, they couldn't find these guys. So they decided to drop flyers throughout the island to let these guys know that, hey, the war is over. But when Hiroo and his men found the flyers, they went Donald Trump on us and we're like,
you are fake news.
So they just continued to fuck with the locals there. They would burn their crops and then kill the farmers. And this didn't go on for 1 or 2 years, no. This went out for 30 years, or 29. I think it's 29. And in between that time, 1 soldier went down to surrender, and then 2 others were shot dead from enemy soldiers. That left Hiroo Onoda as the last Japanese soldier on that island. Eventually, Hiroo was found in 1974, and you know what he said? He regretted nothing, and that he had fought for a country that he loved. Imagine that, surviving 30 years in a hot-ass jungle, surviving off bugs, then being like, cool, we'll do again. Now here's the kicker. When he returned to Japan, he became extremely depressed. He wasn't depressed when he was eating his own shit back in the Philippines. Oh, no. He became depressed when he saw how Japan had changed in the time that he was gone. He saw the influence that Western culture had on Japan, and he felt like the country that he once loved had essentially evaporated. And suddenly he felt like the struggle that he had on the island had been for nothing. Anyways, that long ass story just to say, a lot of things in life are perspective. Hiroo was happy to spend all those years on the island because he felt like he had purpose. Even though it was a rough life, he felt like his deep love for his country gave his life meaning, that he felt like he was serving a purpose that was greater than himself. But that was completely taken away from him when the country that he loved transformed into something he didn't even recognize. If there's one thing that I took away from that story is happiness isn't necessarily a result of what happens in our lives, you know, disregarding basic necessities like food, shelter, water, family, etc. But rather it's being able to find a purpose that helps to ground you. If you're able to find something that gives your life meaning that you wholeheartedly believe in and that you're passionate about, a lot of the bullshit that you go throughout life starts to become a lot more tolerable. You'd be more willing to put up with it because it's all to serve a greater goal that you're so hungry for. And once you're able to achieve that goal, now that's the golden nugget. That feeling of accomplishment that you get. That is happiness. And it doesn't have to be a singular event. In fact, Mark describes these as, and I quote, shitty goals. It's much better to have more broad goals like I want to spend time with my family or I want to be healthier. And according to Mark, these will give you more long-term happiness because they're more infinite and vague, so you'd be able to achieve them over and over again. That's where I'm going to end this video. Just something to think about. Again, if you haven't read the book, I would definitely recommend it. 10 out of 10. Would read again. If you enjoyed this video, like so I know, subscribe because it helps, and until next time, peace.